Did you know that optimized product titles alone can boost your visibility and revenue by 30 to 50%? That's right. The way you craft your titles can be the difference between your products being buried on page 5 or showcased front and center on the Google Shopping. Whether you're struggling with getting your products noticed, managing a large catalog, or just want to maximize your Google Shopping performance, you're in the right place. In the next 30 minutes, we'll reveal exactly how title optimization can transform your search visibility, click through rates, and revenue generation. And the best part, we'll show you how to achieve this at scale, regardless of your catalog size. So, without further ado, let's welcome our speakers. Anshuk Aggarwal, Manu Bhagat, Ishwinder Bawa, Liam Higgins, and Azam Siddiqui. Manu Bhagat is the strategic agency manager at Google. Manu has over 13 years of experience driving growth across corporate banking, broadcast media, and digital advertising. So, Manu, I'll give it to you to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Arlene. Good to be a part of the webinar and looking forward to interacting with everyone.
Thank you, Manu. Next up, we have Ishwinder Bawa. He's a seasoned leader in product partnerships, currently spearheading merchant collaborations for Google Shopping with a sharp focus on omnichannel strategies and generative AI. He plays a pivotal role in shaping the future of commerce. Ishwinder, over to you.
Hey everyone, great to be here and thanks IDOB and Big Atom team for having us today.
Thank you, Ishwinder. Next up, we have Liam Higgins. He is the founder of Pixide, a digital marketing agency in Penrith. He has over 14 years of experience in the digital marketing industry and brings a wealth of marketing knowledge to this table, specializing in digital marketing solutions for allied health clinics and e-commerce stores. Over to you, Liam.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to share some of my secrets with you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Liam. Next, we have Anshuk Aggarwal, who is the co-founder of Big Atom. With over 10 years of experience working with global D2C brands like Puma, Levi's, Hunkemöller, and Sephora, Anshuk has managed ad spends worth over $100 million. Over to you, Anshuk.
Hi, everyone. Very happy to be part of the webinar today. This has been in the making for, I would say, more than 6 to 8 months. We have extensively worked with Google. A big thanks to Liam for joining today. He's been a big partner of us in the journey and super excited for the webinar.
Thanks a lot, Anshuk. Next up, we have Azam Siddiqui. He is a brand communication professional and brings a wealth of experience from top-tier agencies like McCann and Versace, where he's worked on globally recognized brands like Coca-Cola and General Motors. His insights have been featured in renowned publications like Brand Equity. Over to you, Azam. Azam, I think you're on mute.
Hi, everyone. So nice to meet you all. Liam has an interesting story on how is it that we could drive the organic growth. And that's what we are going to discuss. So look forward to it.
Thank you, Azam. So let's get things started with a quick poll. You'll see it on your screen now. So have you ever tried to optimize your product titles on Google Merchant Center? Request everyone to please participate. Request everyone to please submit in their answers. Thanks for your responses. It seems most of you have given it a no. So, our goal for this webinar is to help you with strategies to unlock your full potential on Google Shopping effortlessly. So, we'll kick off with a success story from a leading footwear brand in the Australian market, with Liam sharing key results and insights from the journey. Next, Anshuk will delve into the importance of titles and descriptions in scaling both organic and paid shopping efforts. Following that, Ishwinder will walk us through the Product Studio Text API, breaking down the mechanics behind its functionality. Finally, Anshuk will wrap up the session by highlighting how Big Atom streamlines the entire process seamlessly. Now, I would like to welcome Liam to kickstart this exciting session. Over to you, Liam.
Welcome, everyone. Just some background on myself and my agency. I'm working at an agency. I'm a founder of PickSite. We're a full-service digital agency located in Sydney, and we specialize in growing e-commerce brands. We work across Google Ads, SEO, email marketing, and we develop WooCommerce and Shopify stores. Our biggest focus when it comes to ads is ROAS, return on ad spend. And this process that we've been through, we've found a key driver of our growth for one of our clients, and that's what I want to share with you today. Google Shopping is very competitive in Australia. In Australia's market, we're seeing brands spend more and more money on Google Ads, but they're missing out on key optimizations. They're not optimizing their product feed, which means that they're not matching their customers' experience. The audience experience is completely missing and completely not considered in the touch points across their journeys. Let me just break down some of our clients' experiences. When our client first came to us, they had great margins, they had good products, they were investing very heavily in Google Shopping campaigns, but unable to scale their growth. We started with optimizing what they already had. So their product titles were very, very plain. There was no thought that went into it. And this was the key for where we started. They were missing out on a lot of visibility across both paid and organic shopping. I'm going to share with you two examples of how we optimize product titles to improve growth. The first example I'm going to use is up on your screen here. It's the Dr. Comfort Megan Turquoise XW. So that was a product title, and then we transformed that to Dr. Comfort Megan Women's Mesh Turquoise Shoe, Athletic, Lace Up, Extra Wide, Low Top, Supportive, Breathable, Lightweight. We've gone from having almost zero information to a wealth of information in the product title. We've spelled out extra wide. We've added key features like mesh and athletic, and we included benefits that shoppers actually search for: supportive, breathable, lightweight. I do have one more example I'll show. I can go through in as many examples, but these are some of the best case studies I have. Another title, and this is a very, very popular shoe in Australia. It's the Frankie 4 Maria 3 slides. We transformed this to Frankie 4 Maria 3 women's white, silver, leather sandals, double strap, wedge, heel, open toe, casual. In both cases, every word of these titles was optimized. We're not just stuffing in keywords, we're matching how people actually search. We're matching the customer experience. When someone's looking for supportive athletic shoes or leather wedge sandals, our products now appear in these results when previously they didn't. This has been a game changer for us because it means that we no longer just compete on the brand and the model. We now compete on the benefits and features of the products. Since implementation, so we just started working with this client in July 2024. For page search, we've seen a 60% increase in impressions and a 4.2 rise in clicks. The organic impact has been even more significant, 125% boost in organic conversions and a 50% rise in the organic conversion rate. Looking at the bigger picture, we've seen 162% growth year on year with this sales strategy. While total optimization played a crucial role, it was part of a broader strategy of our cohesive approach to e-commerce brands. Aside from optimizing bidding strategies, improving feed quality, enhancing product categorization, and implementing stop losses, it's a comprehensive approach that we use across paid and organic channels to grow this brand. Product title optimization is effectively SEO for your Google shopping experience. You wouldn't launch a website without proper SEO in today's age. You shouldn't run Google shopping campaigns without optimizing your product titles. This approach improves visibility across both organic and paid channels, giving you better results from your existing budget and improving the experience for overall audiences. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Liam. And I think you summarized it really well in terms of why are titles important. Our viewers have got a first-hand feel of how impactful can titles be, and glad to have some of the numbers you shared for the footwear store. What I'll do is I'll sort of spend a couple of minutes just to pick up the thought which Liam spoke about. He pretty much covered a very compelling story on why titles are important. I'll just build a little bit more on top of it before I, of course, pass it on to Ishwinder, who is the subject matter expert and who is the brain behind all what we have been speaking about. Let me just give you one more example. So while we saw a footwear example, I want to show an apparel example. And there's an actual client, men apparel brand, which is Rare Rabbit, one of the brands which has been growing very rapidly in the APAC market. They do roughly about more than around $20 million of revenue just from their website alone. And this is an actual example of one search keyword, which was happening very regularly on Google. I have shown it on the screen as well, Mandarin gray collar shirt. So Mandarin is actually a type of collar. And what we realized is when we get these attributes into the title, we are able to see some of the products of Rare Rabbit appear on top of shopping. Now, if you notice clearly, this is not a brand search. People were not searching for Rare Rabbit shirt. They actually were searching for a completely non-brand keyword, Mandarin gray collar shirt. And just because we had the right titles, right attributes in the title, many of the products of Rare Rabbit were able to appear on the top. What could these attributes be? They can be brand name, gender, color, fabric, color, and many more such attributes. I'll also briefly touch upon them in the next slide of mine. This is the second example I wanted to sort of share for today. It's on Lotto. And we have this nice product on the website called Tokyo Ginza PRT. And what we have realized here is people, while of course there is a lot of reason for the brand to name their products like this, but title which you put on the website need not be same as the title which you send on Merchant Center. And that's actually one of the biggest learnings we have had when working with Manu and Ishwinder in the last 1 year, because people don't search for these titles. I don't think so. There'll be a lot of queries of people searching for Tokyo Ginza PRT. What people search for is the keywords which they understand. For example, we will have a lot of search queries for sneakers as a keyword, but may not have for Tokyo Ginza PRT. And that's exactly the big, I would say, takeaway which everybody should have here, that there are certain patterns which people search when they go on Google Shopping. And it's our goal to make sure that we bring in those in our titles and descriptions so that Google's AI can effectively match the two. Similar to an example, this is also an example of a women apparel brand. I wanted people to sort of understand that there could be many, many more attributes. Men fashion has lesser, women fashion seems to have more attributes. So, for example, you can see in this case, Ritu Kumar, very well-known brand. So, service USP is one attribute, print policy is another attribute, style type could be an attribute, length can be an attribute, product type, of course, dress, which is quite sort of obvious, material, sleeve type, color, size, right? So the number of attributes which we can potentially have on a product could be fairly large. And these attributes can actually change from category to category. So if you see at the bottom, I've put this myth busting sort of a bullet point there that website titles, SEO titles, and shopping titles can be independent of each other. And we get this query a lot of times. I'm sure Ishwinder can also resonate. People ask that if you update the title in Merchant Center, do we need to update them on the website as well? And the answer is it's not required. Your website titles are meant for a different purpose, but your Merchant Center titles are meant for an entirely different purpose. And just a quick glimpse of what could this title attribute taxonomy look like. So this is, we have created these attributes across different categories. So for example, for a shirt, wrinkle-free could be an attribute. For a trouser, flat front could be an attribute. For a formal suit, 2-piece or 3-piece can be attribute. What I'm trying to call out here is the attributes could vary significantly from category to category. And we have sort of worked with Google on creating these attributes across 40 plus categories, which is what we now call as feed taxonomy. Right? Now that you've understood the whole story behind why are titles and descriptions important, the first question I'm sure all of us will have in our mind is, all this is good, but how do we actually go about executing this? This is exactly where I'll bring in Ishwinder to talk about Product Studio Text API and tell us about how the whole magic happens and how do a brand actually get value out of it. Over to you, Ishwinder.
Awesome. Thank you, Anshuk. Thank you, Liam, for setting this up so beautifully. And Product Studio Text API is actually a brilliant example of how GenAI is actually already bringing in value for businesses already. So great example of a broader conversation that's also happening in the market right now. So what have we kind of covered so far? A quick summary. Number one, rich titles are important, and we've seen evidence of how they improve performance for brands already. Second, these titles are built on two essential inputs. Number one, insights. And these are insights about what the users are actually looking for. And the second input is a comprehensive set of product attributes. Both these inputs, the insights on user behavior and the comprehensive list of attributes, these two come together in the form of the taxonomy that Anshuk just spoke about. And this taxonomy is quite granular in terms of it being for specific categories. So that's like the foundation of it. But when we talk of brands and merchants, what do they need to do to get this going? So number one, they need to identify and source these key attributes, which might not be easy all the time. Second, they need to have a process to generate the titles in the right taxonomy, and it needs to come together in the right format. And the third bit operationally is to put it up on GMC or put it up on your D2C website. So that's the operational bit at the end as well. What we also saw that brands run into a few challenges when they try and do this. Number one, the inputs that are required to build these rich titles are not always available. So the insights are hard to plug. The attributes are also hard to source. And the second part of the process itself might also be a little complex to follow. So these are the two typical issues that we see brands run into while looking to do this. And maybe this could be a reason why some of you or a majority of you have not tried this yet. And that's where our role also comes through. And we rely on partners like Big Atom to help us and help brands realize this value as well. So how do we make this easier and more accessible? Next slide, please. So enter Product Studio, Google Product Studio more broadly, and more specifically, Product Studio Text API. If you've been following announcements in the past few years now, we announced Google Product Studio a couple of years back, and since then we've added multiple key capabilities. Product Studio essentially is a suite of AI-powered tools that help brands enhance product data. And these tools could help you enhance images, generate scenes, increase resolution, edit backgrounds, even with videos. And now we also have the capability to generate richer titles and descriptions for your products. So with the Product Studio Text API, what you can do is to create titles and descriptions that are more effective at attracting users, showing up better, and also converting them into sales. Evidence of what we've already seen. So how does this work? 3 steps primarily. As an input, we line up the available inputs that are there. We don't ask for the world. So what we ask for is maybe the GMC feed, which already has the product listings, and images. And that's an essential part of this process, that generation of attributes or extraction of attributes becomes multimodal at the base of it. Second, we let AI work its magic. We run the API, which uses our latest AI models to supplement the existing inputs and build that taxonomy. And then we use this more comprehensive list of attributes to build a category specific title and description. So all of this comes together as a simple tool, which we now call the Product Studio Text API. So what happens is, next slide, please. We essentially transform the product titles from an input state, which, by the way, may look perfectly acceptable to start with, unless you looked at the enhanced output. So to a naked eye, the input title here may actually be okay. But how the systems work and how a richer output, like you see on the screen right now, impacts business is where the real unlock is. And the two use cases that are fairly obvious here is, A, you can actually use this to improve the existing titles and descriptions that you know, and there may be known issues that you may want to fix at scale. Or this could also be creating absolutely new titles and descriptions. So if nothing else is available, we can actually start with this as well. Let's maybe look at a few examples as well of categories which are different from what we've seen in the past slides. Next slide. So here we see a simple input, a simple title, but a lot of key attributes missing. And we know these are key attributes from the user insights that we have, that the users look for color as a key attribute, fairly obvious. Material, in this case, chiffon was missing. Length of the sleeve, the neck type, all of these key attributes were missing in this input. And that's what AI in this case could help the merchant generate and plug into the optimized title output as well. Next slide. Similar example, again, color. Color actually we see as sometimes a key attribute which should be there but is missing a lot. And again, this can be fixed at scale using the models that we have. So similar kind of behavior here. A lot of key attributes which are fairly intuitive as well were missing from the input and were optimized using the Product Studio Text API. Next slide, please. So what are the top use cases right now that out there for brands and merchants to make use of this tool? Number one, you can optimize your Google product titles, which is the GMC product titles, and it helps you deliver better performance on Google surfaces. Second, you can use these to improve your landing page titles as well, something that Anshuk was referring to earlier as well, that these two are separate. And it's up to you if you want to optimize on both surfaces and then deliver an end-to-end consistent experience, both on Google and off Google. And it could also very well plug into your product creation flows, something that I spoke about in the last slide as well. If there is no existing title or description, can you use this to create one? Or if you are a business that deals with multiple sellers, then how could you enable this as a seller tool as well? What the Big Atom team is doing is also an example of this, where this is getting plugged into the flows that are there existing on Big Atom already. So this is a more scaled approach that we have, and these are the top use cases that we see right now being used on this tool being used on across. Next slide. So and before we get into the poll, so essentially using the Product Studio Text API, we address the two issues that we spoke about earlier. Number one, the input that is needed to build a rich title is not always readily available. And second, the process that needs to be followed needs to be simplified as well. We've covered a little bit of this already, but to talk about how specifically Big Atom is enabling this and solving the issue around complexity and access, I would hand it back to the Big Atom team and Anshuk.
Thank you, Ishwinder. We have a nice poll for the audience before I sort of talk about the last section. What percentage of your total ad spends do you currently invest in Performance Max? We have 3 buckets, and Harleen has already fired the poll. I would highly request all the viewers of the webinar to sort of put in their inputs. We'll wait for a couple of more moments and would encourage everybody to sort of put in their pointers. So we see roughly about very interesting insights coming. We see roughly about a third of the attendees today investing as high as 20 to 50% of their overall investments into Performance Max campaigns. So clearly, what we spoke about today in terms of one of the big levers to scale Performance Max seems to be very, very relevant for the audience here. I'll move on from the poll. So just a few slides before we open our Q&A session for today. I want to talk about how does the entire process look like if anybody wants to do title optimization using Product Studio Text API, and what is the role which Big Atom sort of plays in. So one last case study we wanted to cover today, because we spoke about PMax in the previous poll. We had this work done along with Google and Adyogi and Big Atom, where we did title optimization for a men fashion brand, and very interesting story came out of it. So this particular brand had a lot of Harry Potter merchandise. What our API was able to do is identify that these are Harry Potter t-shirts and append the keyword Harry Potter to it. And we realized that a lot of searches were happening with Harry Potter as a keyword, and that sort of helped us in scale Performance Max campaigns. So this is a verified sort of a data. In this specific case, we got a 5x increase in PMax, which I personally feel is a very outlier sort of a performance, but definitely a key lever to scale your Performance Max. So everybody who is on the webinar today running PMax campaigns, please take this as an opportunity to scale your PMax campaigns. How does the whole process look like with Big Atom? Just a few quick slides there. Number one, we make it super seamless for everybody. We have a process where you can come to the Big Atom tool, connect your Google Merchant Center, and connect your Google Ad account. These are the two requirements we have. Merchant Center because we want to access the feed and update the feed, and Ad account because we want to measure the impact of what title optimization is being able to do for you. Once we get there, we have sort of put in an integration with Google Product Studio Text API. So you can see this nice green sort of button at the top saying AI title generation is enabled for your account, which essentially means that we take the Merchant Center feed, hit the Product Studio API to get the updated title and description. We also then go to the Merchant Center and update these titles and descriptions into the Merchant Center. So this is also a straightforward API integration, which we do with the Merchant Center. And the last step is the most important, that while we have put in all the effort, what is the result we have got? We have put in place an entire analytics section on the tool where we can measure the impact of the entire title and description API. We can see what was the pre-scale, which means how did PMax spends, click CTR look like before implementing the title and description, and what does the scale look like after implementing it. And we can also compare the pre and post, which is very, very important to measure the impact. So that's sort of a nutshell of what we covered today. We have a brief about what we do at Big Atom. We work with 350 plus global brands. We are one of the top partners of Meta and Google. Our focus is always that how do we use tech and catalog as the backbone of scaling brands. So that sort of opens up to the Q&A for the day. I'll pass it on to Harleen. Harleen, you want to quickly sort of open up the questions?
Sure, Anshuk. So before we move into the Q&A, can we have the QR code slide? So for our audience members, with that, we come to the exciting part of the webinar, your chance to book your free 30-day trial of the tool. So just scan the QR code and our team will reach out to you. So I would request everyone to please scan it. We are now opening the floor to questions from the audience. Please feel free to drop your questions in the chat box and I'll take them up for you. So we have one question from our audience. Does changing titles also impact organic shopping, or is it only meant for PMAX campaigns? Manu and Ishwinder, maybe you can take this up.
Yeah, I'll take this up. So hi everyone, and thanks everyone for being a part of the session. So yes, I think like Liam and Anshuk covered, changing product titles in GMC Google Merchant Center impacts both organic, which organic shopping listings, which we also call as free listings, and our paid campaigns, PMAX and standard shopping campaigns. Now, essentially, what we also kind of covered earlier in the section, Google's core algorithm tries matching the products to user intent and search queries. And titles, as Liam perfectly put it, is like the SEO. It's like the key ingredient for this matching process. And this is regardless of the fact whether it's paid or organic. So yes, changing product titles impacts both organic and paid shopping campaigns.
Thank you, Manu. So there's another question. We are a women's wear brand from South India, and do you think Google Ads is better than advertising on Instagram or Facebook? Manu and Ishwinder, would you like to take this up?
I would come across as biased, so I don't. Anshuk,
Yes, maybe I can definitely pick it up. Yes, absolutely. So I would always recommend brands to sort of do multi-channel marketing because today we are in the world of 360-degree marketing where you want to be present where your customers are. So we highly recommend brands to be sort of leveraging all the possible channels which are present, whether it is Google, YouTube, or any of the other social channels. Of course, from a brand to brand, you would see that the media mix could vary. So we have typically seen brands optimizing their media mix accordingly. Back to you, Harleen.
Thank you so much, Anshuk. We have one more question. We realize the utility of this feature. However, if more and more competitors are utilizing these services and improvements, then what advantage would remain for us? And in such cases, who will get the priority? So, Anshuk, do you want to take this one as well?
Yes, I can take a tab at it and happy to sort of if Liam or Ishwinder or Manu wants to jump in. So what we have realized is there is definitely an early mover advantage. We've always seen that AI is becoming one of those ways of life and it's almost disrupting almost a lot of things we are doing. But there is a massive advantage for brands, people and companies who want to adopt to it in the be the early adopters because adoption of any new technology does take time. So I know we've been talking about it for the last 2 quarters, but I do see that the full adoption might take at least another 4 to 6 quarters. So anybody who sort of jumps in and be an early adopter will have a lot of upside, in my opinion.
Thank you so much, Anshuk.
And maybe just to add to that as well, right? Titles and descriptions, while are super important, are also a part of a bigger feed puzzle as such, right? So for a brand to leverage all capabilities, all enhancements, there's a lot to look at. And while we may argue that this capability, while when becomes more generally available, people, a lot of brands will use it. But there are a lot of other things that go into the success formula, as we say, for brands to succeed. And all of those aspects would over time be enhanced by AI in one way or the other. So there's plenty to play with over the next few years as we may see it. So while this is a start, and like Anshuk said, even for this, there will be a head start that some brands will get. There will be plenty of other factors that could help brands succeed.
Right. Thank you so much, Ishwinder, for your insights. I would request everyone to please send in their questions in the chat box. So we have one more question. Can you tell us a bit more about Pickside and how it can help my brand grow in Australia? Liam, I think this is for you.
Sure. Well, we take a cohesive approach to your marketing. So we're across all channels. We're not just Google partners, we're also Meta partners. We also look at your entire touch points, the entire customer journey. The first thing we'd probably need to do is just understand your audience and look at doing an audit. Is there any specific questions that you might have for me that I can answer right now?
Liam, I think we have one more question. How can you help my business come up with a scheme for title optimization?
Yes, so first thing we need to do is understand your audience, understand their decision hurdles, their pain points, and what is going to make them turn from clickers to converters. So I would leverage benefits in the product titles, because I do think that is also consider the search terms that they may use, and consider leading with benefits in your product titles to optimize them.
Got it. Thank you so much, Liam, for answering those questions. So one more question which we have is, we are a kids home furnishing brand and running standard shopping campaigns on Google is quite costly for us. Do you have any specific recommendations for running them more cost effectively and efficiently?
I can take this up. While there be multiple factors, but I think for the relevance of this session, improving your titles and descriptions is the most key ingredient to improving the performance of both shopping and across PMAX campaigns, like we mentioned. Essentially just reiterating what we discussed, that becomes the ingredient for our algorithms to understand what is the user searching for and matching it to your products correctly. And it's essential when you have that right, covering what the user intent is, you essentially lead to a better performance. So if your current campaigns are not performing as well, maybe our first and most important recommendation would be to go back to your titles and descriptions and see are they optimized for how users are looking for it.
Thank you so much, Manu, for taking that one up. So our next question says, can you tell us a bit about the tech and automation abilities that Big Atom brings in? Azam, would you like to take that one up?
Sure. So Big Atom sits right there in between Google and the other platforms that are there. And on the other side, we have performance marketers, specialists, and agencies like Liam's agency, and that's where we sit. So we have built the technology. So we have got the technology. Looking at the APIs that are available, we have built something. So if you are dealing with the title or whether you're dealing with where the ad spends are going, we have the tech to bring all that into perspective. But those intelligent questions have to be asked, and that's where Liam agencies and experts come in. So when they have those questions, for example, Liam made a very interesting point that title optimization is like the SEO. So until and unless you don't have that perspective, you will never be able to use the technology. So yes, we build the technologies based on our performance marketing experience. And what we say is, the agents that we have built will deliver you a higher return on ad spends. So that technology we have. But what we need is your experience to take advantage of it. Like Liam has been able to get huge success because he himself is a specialist at Google Ads. Meta ads. He himself is good at it. And therefore, he knows how to leverage the technology. If that answers, otherwise, we could attempt it again. And Anshuk, you can also contribute.
Thank you so much, Azam. So I believe the next question which we have is for Liam. How much time does it typically take for the results to reflect post-optimization?
So we notice results in about 2 to 3 weeks. But our overall optimization, I think we settled on most titles after about 2 months. I think the organic shopping results really started to come into play about month 3.
Got it. So our next question is, how frequently should we update titles in the merchant center? Manu and Ishwinder, I think this one's for you.
Yeah, I can take that up. So, the frequency of title updations basically depends on few factors that we need to consider while we're thinking of updating. The first could be, of course, the product change itself. So if there is a new feature that gets added to your product, or there's a new version of your product, that really asks for a title change in terms of the process to go through. So you need to look out for that. The other is, of course, the core fundamental performance. So if you see certain products or certain titles not performing well in terms of CTR, impression clicks, that really again warrants you to look into those titles and see if those could be improved. The third is, of course, the promotional and any kind of promotional activity that you're going through. So whether it's Black Friday or some of the festive sales that you have, the title then needs to be updated to make sure that you're capturing the relevant keywords there. And this, of course, then requires an updates to happen. But the most important thing, and I think it also ties back to a couple of questions back, which Anshuk and Ishwinder answered, is basically the market trends. So if the user search queries, if the user search intent for your products is changing, then your title needs to keep pace with it. And it needs to change that you're consistently responding to that change in the behavior the user is searching for your product. That's also the competitive advantage that you have. How quickly are you responding to a user search intent being updated, and that also warrants how frequently do you update your titles and descriptions.
Right. Thank you so much, Manu, for taking that one up. I would request everyone to please send in their questions in the Q&A box so that we can take them up for you. So there is one question which we have. Is there a way I can try Big Atom for a month and see the impact? Azam, would you like to take that one up?
A free trial where you could adopt it. And the process is very simple. You just have to share us with the feed, the Google Merchant Center feed, and it's delivered to you. So done and delivered. So it's very simple. And then you sit back and see the results.
Thank you so much, Azam. We have one more question with us. How can we get in touch with Big Atom? I think they have shared an email ID, sales@magisclothing.com. So can
Okay.
we have an answer?
So yeah. So yeah, the email. Uh, I could share the email that could be there on the chat. And
Yes, I'll have
yeah,
Ananda write that in the comment box.
yeah.
Yes. So one more question which we just received. How to increase our organic sales? We just have 5% organic sales.
So
You get on this platform. That's how you start.
go ahead, Liam. Go ahead, please.
Sure. Look, you need to look at the entire approach to what you've got there. So if you're optimizing your product titles and you're getting more traffic and you're not getting more sales, then you need to start looking at your landing page or your experience. But the best way I think you can drive your organic sales is by title optimization. It's as simple as that.
Right. I would request everyone to send in their questions.
I just had one more thing to add to the previous question. Liam, absolutely aligned with you there. I've also realized that organic does take time to build. And a lot of times we have realized that brands which do more mid-funnel and top-funnel activities do tend to see their organic share go up over a period of time. And I would highly recommend audience out here to definitely run demand gen campaigns if they're not doing already, and run YouTube campaigns. We have seen a very strong correlation between brands which are running mid-funnel on demand gen or top funnel on YouTube. And over a period of time, they do see their organic traffic go up. So that could be one more way to look at how can you increase the organic share.
And again, just to add to that, right, there are multiple programs on the Google side as well, and which is essentially the feed optimization program in total that brands should look like. And there are established impacts on organic as well as ads on from those programs. Some examples are sharing much more structured data with us, right? So ratings and reviews is one of the attributes or one of the product information that we know that users are looking for. And there is a way for brands to share that with Google via the Merchant Center. So one should look at programs like those. Even promotions, as Manu was talking about earlier, is something that has impact on listing performance across ads and organic. Again, something that the brands should look at, enriching their feed with. So while titles and descriptions play a big role, all the other aspects of how rich the overall product feed is also helps improve performance, not only on ads, but also on organic.
Thank you so much, Ishwinder. We have one more question in the comment box. While we try to include as many relevant features or USPs in terms of keywords in the title optimization, is there any recommended length of the title? As in product shopping ads, the title is seen in a limited manner and too long titles are not recommended.
So on GMC, there is a limit. There is a limit of 150 characters. So that's processual again. But in general, richer the title, the better it is, because again, at the back end, it gives us more anchors to hook on. But there is a technical limit to how long a title can be shared with us.
Yeah, and just to add to what Ashwinder said, I think the other thing is it's like you mentioned on certain devices, maybe not the entire title would be visible, and that's why the ordering of title or the attributes or ordering makes a lot of difference in terms of how your titles get displayed, and that's again one of the strengths that Big Atom and Anshuk and Liam's team kind of bring in terms of making sure that those ordering is in a way which really captures the most important attributes come in first and tie back to the user intent. In addition to what Ishwinder says, that the important attributes still kind of make sense in the back end, but the ordering makes a difference in terms of how does the user see this.
Right. So, thank you so much for those insightful answers, everyone. With that, we come to the end of our webinar. A huge shout out to our panelists for the amazing, amazing insights, and a special thank you to everyone who has joined us today.